After completing the kit, I've got quite a few spare parts left over, which always are handy things to have. I'm not complaining at all. Even got a spare end stop, which is nice. Now the only thing that was missing in my kit, I had to get some nuts because I was missing one nut. That would not have stopped the printer from working. It's just on a fussy old bugger. I also had to buy some bolts. I had no choice in this. 20mm length, that's for the hot end. The ones supplied were only 16, they were too short. So apart from that, the kit was perfect. Over here I've got a couple of extra tools that I used. I used a pair of pliers because I adjusted the length of wires. You need a screwdriver, a Phillips head, that's for your power supply, and I used a little jeweler's screwdriver as well. That's just personal choice. And with my kit I've got a spare part that's very handy. Look at that. I bet you're wondering what that's for. That goes with my Titan extruder, which I will be doing a separate video on because it has to be configured, and obviously I've got to get the lead screw and everything set up correctly for it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's a brilliant little piece of kit, this. Yeah, one of the things I've had to address is the end stops. I must have had a bad batch. I've got two that I'm assuming are on the same strip, and this little end section here, the little pole, is not soldered at all. You can just pop them straight off. Now I've had a bit of fun with the end stops. What I've done is I've put a bit of extra shrink wrap. I found that the outer wire was breaking on a couple of the ones I've got, so the solder wasn't the best on that particular point. I've resoldered, I've cut the wire, resoldered both of them, put shrink wrap over the individual wires underneath, and then added an extra coat over the top, so that gives it a lot more strength. They're not going to break on you. So if you can do this, I thoroughly recommend it. Otherwise just wrap a bit of electrical tape around the two to give them that little bit of extra strength. And here we are, we're about to start a print, and should be interesting to see what happens. I'm using Cura version 3.0.4, and it's a stock standard Tevo Tarantula profile, with the exception I've removed the brim and I'm just simply using the skirt. And here we are, we're printing, and you're probably thinking, yeah, big whoopee, but it's the third time. We got power failures, so I thought, oh well, we'll see what we can do. Hopefully we can get something out this time round. Okay, the calibration cube is coming along. I had a bit of a squeak earlier on, and all it was a bit of dirt caught in one of the wheels. I've given it a bit of a blow, and yep, working perfect again. Finally got a print. It's taken 3 attempts, not because the printer's failed, but simply for power outages we're having at the moment. And I'll just pop this across a little bit and go down, see if we can get a... There we go. So 42 minutes to print this out, so we'll have a good look at it in a minute or two and see what it looks like. Something you will need with your printer so you can get started is something to hold your spool of filament on. Now I'm cheating a little bit. I've got mine, if you follow, I'll just zoom in a bit, you can see the filament there, and if we swing over, we're using the stand over there. So obviously I'll be printing out a proper spool stand shortly. And there's the print going along nicely. Must admit it's very quiet compared to the other printer I've got there, and yeah, I'm quite impressed with this so far. Oh well, since it's Christmas, we should print something Christmassy. Little reindeer going along. It's a bit hard to sort of C. Maybe that's better. There you go, no supports used. 20% infill, again using Cura 3.0.4, and yeah, it seems to be coming along nicely. We'll check it out when it finishes. And there's the little reindeer with the antlers and the all-important print time, which is 2 hours and 11 minutes. It's not too bad. Yeah, can't really see much. Black on black, probably bad choice of colour for the print, but oh well. We'll let it cool down. We'll take it off and have a look at it, and we'll sit the little calibration cube that I printed earlier, and we'll have a good look at both of them. We're now going to have a bit of a print review. I've printed a couple of things on the Tevo itself, on the Tarantula. First one, total disaster, not the printer's fault. We had a series of power failures last night, power outages, so I started several times for the print. That one didn't work. This one here, I thought, oh yeah, we're powering along. I thought, beauty, and same thing, just as we're getting towards the top, same thing, power went out again, so not impressed. So I called it quits last night, pushed these ones aside, and started again this morning. Now I got a print, and it's actually not too bad. I'll just turn it so you can actually see the reflections on it. Came out quite nice. And this is using Cura version 3.04. Now for the all-important measurement. This is a 20mm cube. Now there's no calibrations done at all. This is just the printer put together for the first time. So here we go. What do we got here? 20.03 that way. 19.8. 19.6, 19.6, 19.8, 19.6, we'll turn it that way, 19.7, 19.6, so it's not bad. It's I can certainly calibrate it to bring it in a lot closer than that, but straight off the assembly line, so to speak, I'm pretty impressed with that. It's not bad at all. Now, I also printed something else, and here we go. A little deer for the table, and if you can have a look in there, there's very slight bit of stringing. You can just get it on the top there, and that's all. The print came out quite nice, as you can see. This is on Thingiverse. If you're looking at printing it for yourself, I'll have a link below. So it's not too bad, not too shabby, as they say, and underneath, so you can get an idea. And final conclusion. The printer itself is not the easiest to put together. The instructions, when you first look at them, they're amazing. They really look tops until you start getting into them, and then you start realizing there's a couple of errors. They're referring to parts that don't exist. They're referring to photos that are in the wrong spot. A couple of pieces that you need to fit aren't physically listed. But once you get your head around all of that, the printer goes together quite easily. I pulled it apart a couple of times because I looked at the photos and couldn't quite work out where things went. So if you study my build, you'll notice that a couple of times that things will appear in different spots. That's as I was recorrecting them. Now, once I finished all of the build and put it all together, the fan had a fault with it. The actual wiring was broken. I contacted GearBest, and they were very nice about it. I was surprised. They helped me out with the fan, which was great. And we continued on, and I fired it up, and it worked. It worked quite nice. The only things that were missing were the, as I say, the bolts. They had, for the fan itself, Tevo supplied 16mm. They should have been 20mm length. So if you do get a Tarantula, order in some 20mm bolts. You will need them. Apart from that, just be a little bit careful when you're putting the acrylic pieces together. Don't put too much stress on them because you can break them. But the beauty of this one is, even if you do break them, you can trace out the parts on a bit of plywood and simply cut them out, and you've got yourself a new whatever it is that you busted. So it's pretty nifty that way. You can even laser cut them. There's files. I saw STL files on Thingiverse, so you can pretty well replace any broken part, which is great using your laser cutter. Overall, yep, it's not a bad printer for the price. It's quite amazing. It does a really nice job. Not quite as good as obviously as the high-end one I've got, the other printer, but for what the price is, it's really good. As a starting printer, highly recommended. But don't expect to put it together overnight. It's not going to happen. It's going to take you a few days, and once you get it all together, it'll take you a little bit of time to tune it, and I'm in the tuning process as of right now while we speak. The only thing that I have done is alter the speed from 60 down to 50. Woohoo! I mean, and the result is that little deer down there. I have not altered any of the any other setting, no retraction, nothing. That is straight from Cura, and I am very impressed with it. So what more can I say? If you're in the market and don't want to spend a fortune, grab one of these. If you've got a little bit extra money, get the aluminium based one. I mean, it's I think that'll be a better option than the acrylic, but for me, I wanted to tinker with something, and I've certainly got something to tinker with. I intend to do a few more modifications as time goes on, and when I get around to them, I will stick them on the YouTube and you can have a look. Feel free to criticize me. If you think I'm doing something wrong, please let me know. I do learn as I go. Anyway, thanks for watching.